Welcome everyone. We're here at National Harbor near our nation's capital, and I'm pleased to be able to have some time with General Michelle Johnson, who has agreed to join us and talk a little bit about her background and her experience. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's a complete pleasure. Thank you so much.
You've attended your share of graduation ceremonies. What are the aspects that you enjoy most?
My favorite part of the Air Force Academy, when we'd have 35,000 people in the football stadium, was when the cadets would approach the ramp, and there would be 1,000 at a time. So like here, it's a bit efficient, but there's a little moment when they're not quite ready to walk across the stage. They're just perched on the edge that I would really distract them, which is probably not fair to them, but I'd say, do you know where your mom and dad are? Where's your family? And they'd show me, and I'd say, wave at them. And I said, don't be so stiff, savor this. Because that's what this is about, right? This is a ritual where we all celebrate together. Otherwise, we could just mail the diplomas to them and they would have it and it would be the same. But
Exactly.
It's that sharing with the families that's so fun for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, it's a great moment. In your role now, what attracted you to come to the MBA? And how did your Air Force Academy experience and athletic experience as well sort of prepare you for that transition to a new career?
Well, at the risk of sounding like an embroidered pillow, sometimes you find what you're looking for when you're not looking for it. And I actually was hoping to continue in higher education. It's done so much in my life, and I love being part of that with students and faculty and everyone who works with them. And so the NBA found me and thought I would have the skill set to link together the scouting, the development, and the evaluation of NBA referees, professional referees, who are a lot like air crews. If you think about the body of knowledge they have to know, and bang decisions, and traveling and working as teams, and so it was the fact that they are the stewards of the integrity of the game.
Yes.
That had meaning to me. Because at this point in my life, I want to spend my days doing something that has some meaning, whether it's education, or in this case, sort of the public servants of a professional sports league, but the whole thing falls down if it's not a fair platform, and that's what these referees are dedicated to. So that's what means something to me and connects to me.
It's really interesting, the comparison you had with the air crew to your referees and having to make that decision at the moment. And do you help them to be able to make those decisions and work as a team?
We're trying to do better at that. They haven't really scaled up. One of the things we take for granted from military service is this giant scale that we work within. And so one of the things I want to talk about tomorrow at the commencement is this fact that we know more than we think we know. Not in an arrogant way, but in a just how things work way. And that not everybody has that experience. And so my colleagues in the NBA know a lot about basketball, and I'm very careful to not presume to tell them how to adjudicate the basketball part, even though I played in college and everything. But I commanded bases with hospitals and never told the doctors how to practice medicine, right? But you can hold them to their standards. So what we're trying to do is standardize the way they're evaluated and the way they communicate and the way they think to make those decisions come more quickly. And there's a checklist mentality that can be helpful there and in the replay center. So the parallels are there, and because I respect their space and they respect what I've done, even though I'm a bit of a stranger, they've accepted me, and then I do rely on their expertise to codify what's good and make it good training for their development, and also to be able to then communicate to other people that this is not just some tribal oral history. This is real stuff that's sound and documented, and you can scale it up, which as the NBA grows across the globe, they need to be able to scale it up. So it's just translating lessons I've learned at different levels of command with different spans of responsibility, and seeing the parallels across organizations, no matter what uniform you wear. People in the organizations act about the same way. That's why all those books are out there, right? All those change management books. It's because human beings do the same things.
Absolutely, so interesting. What was your proudest accomplishment in your service in the Air Force?
While I was going through it, and to paraphrase a philosopher who said, life is understood, back to front, but has to be lived front to forward, front and forward, is that I thought it was a very eclectic career where I was a problem solver, became a bit of a change agent, I think, because I think I'm a fairly quick study to see the patterns, and then to try to bring experts to the fore And what I really love doing is building teams and have them take on really hard challenges. You know, we started Cyber Command when I was on the joint staff, at least wrote the policy. I don't presume to be able to do the coding, no way. But the understanding how to talk to people at the strategic level and operational level and connect them, and then empower people who are really good at what they do but may not see the connections with others. And what I thoroughly enjoy, and I'm seeing it now with some of my MBA team, I saw it when I was in U.S. Transportation Command. We had really hard problems to solve. When I was in Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, which I like saying because it has Supreme in it, but besides that, is we started something called the Comprehensive Operations and Management Center, the CCOMC, where we brought people from other nations together in an interactive command post setting. And at first they really balked at it. And you know, these things don't always end right when your tenure ends. They have to continue to develop. But I was so happy that that developed in something that was useful as Russia, frankly, went into the Ukraine, and this body was able to anticipate that and talk to it. So I thoroughly enjoy just bringing together groups of experts who actually know more about the subject matter than I do, and then linking them together in an effective way. And once they see that shared purpose, they bring their creativity to it and they run with it. It's like the feeling it's like when we used to solo our students and we taught them how to fly in Cessnas, and we'd go stand on the roof of the building and and do body English because you just launched that person, and that's what I love.
Absolutely. What do you see as the most critical elements in lifelong learning related to future career success?
You know, I think it's a fundamental mindset, and I'm not sure if you have to be born to it or it can be taught. I think it's a combination of both, but just having an open mind and to be willing to step back and make the connections. I mean, some of our brains are wired that way. Maybe mine is to a fault, but I think to open ourselves up and take a risk, to step outside what's comfortable, right? And so when you have great teachers and mentors and coaches, they make you better by pushing you to do something you might not have considered. I wouldn't have competed for a Rhodes Scholarship. I was just a gal from Iowa, but the teachers thought that I could do it, and it's been fascinating to go back now and be part of seminars at Oxford University and to think, how could that be? Well, because someone opened my mind to the potential that I could have to do that, or to fly airplanes, and the leadership path that led to. I was mentored to do that. And so I think this sense of being willing to take that risk, and I'm not a wild risk taker, I don't do crazy things for adrenaline, but I mean, to have a little bit of courage to say, I'm not so sure how this is going to work out, but I'm confident it's going to be okay. And to take that chance and to open your mind. And I think that helps with diversity and inclusion, because diversity of thought I have found to be more challenging as I've gotten older, even than diversity in structural ways, because someone maybe doesn't imagine anybody who looks like that or talks like that being able to help. And I've shown up and been the stranger, and they say, well, how could you possibly help us? You haven't done this with us for 20 years. And I say, I respect what you've done, but I maybe can bring what I know to that, and we work together and then get that feeling I talked about.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a leader with many demands on your time, what practices do you use to renew and re-energize with your busy life and busy day or week?
Well, what's sort of built in, I think, is our family. It's very grounding. We're older parents, so our boys are twins, sophomores finishing their sophomore year as band kids, and we're learning to be band parents. And I think what's grounding about your family and friends, the people who really love you and won't let you get away with being less than your best in the best ways, including being joyful, and not letting you forget to be joyful and find fun in it. So for us, it's been our kids' activities or nature, being out in nature and in whatever venue, on the sea or the mountains, or just to be out in it. There's got to be something that brings you back to center, something beautiful, and that might be wildflowers or something. Don't presume to be an expert on it, but just something that's not with hard edges, right? That it brings out the peaceful part that really I think is what we seek. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm better at that. I wasn't as good at it when I was younger, and I'm not perfect at it now, but that's what I aim for.
Looking back on your own career path, what advice would you give our American military university students or American public university students as they forecast and plan their future career?
Well, first I'd like to give a shout out to a former Command Chief Master Sergeant of mine, Rob Boyer, who's about ready to retire. And he and his wife Yvonne are earning their degrees now. They won't be walking across the stage because they're trying to make retirement plans, but I wanted to give them a shout out. And I think the persistence they've shown in their lives has overcome, what a few years ago was really not support of our enlisted forces to get advanced academic degrees. And I think now for all of us, all of our roles are so complex, we need to be able to think through them. I think in terms of the planning part though, again, what I've found too many people do is try to make a plan that will precisely work out, and then I will do this, and then I will do that. And the thing about that is life intervenes, right? And so there may be some opportunity that you never thought of. The MBA called me.
Right. Right.
I wasn't thinking of that. And you can't know what opportunity's there. And also, you know what? Life takes its toll. There are sometimes things have to be delayed because somebody needs you. Someone's health requires your need, whether it's a loved one or a friend. Opportunities don't always present themselves, right? There's a timing to things. And to know the difference between a cliff and a dip, as if there's a book about that. Is this just a dip and I'm going to come through it, or is this just going to go off a cliff and I need to let go? And I think sometimes letting go is harder than just trying. So the combination of persistence and flexibility and agility to say, well, that might be a different way to solve that problem. Why don't I give that a chance? And I think to me that's fun, but it takes practice to get used to how that feels, because it's unsettling when you're not so sure what the outcome will be. But to have the confidence to know it'll be okay, whatever it is, it'll be all right, I'll come out on the other end and maybe find other opportunities. So I think having options in your plan and to leave the door open to make those leaps, and to not forget, I don't know that balance really works, right? I've sort of lived in a dynamic disequilibrium, right? But to not forget that part of your life. And I don't have regrets, but I think all of us need to take better care of ourselves, whether it's getting some rest and eating right, or just taking those moments that we haven't been great at, just carving out some time in our family. And I would love to have done better, so I would highly recommend that to others.
They take that time. Life will happen. It's not going to be an exact planned course, but be open and flexible to those opportunities as they come, which is wonderful. What benefits do you see in today's accelerating trend towards online education? Whether military or veteran or civilian adult learners.
Well, clearly the flexibility, because the demands on everyone's time have only become greater. So to be able to work that in, and then with the programs here at APUS, to be able to then incorporate that with practical experience, to bring education and training, which are different things to do, but to be able to have application for the ideas at your pace. I mean, I know that there's a timeliness here, but again, for learning, somebody made up this idea that college had to be 4 years, I think in the Renaissance or something, right? So maybe,
Middle Ages, here's
a crazy idea, maybe there's a different way and better way to learn at a different pace, or when you really want to. Now you're really focused on it, and you can bring that to bear. So I think that gives flexibility and depth, and it just seems, and then the connections that you can bring is a different approach. But I think ultimately that human connection remains, to whether it's at the practical level or a professor, whether it's at distance or not. I think there's that value endures beyond the technology, just because we can't forget the humanity that we have, and that we want to feel like we're connecting, and that you notice that I'm here and you have a sense of what I really need to know, and be able to ask questions and have that dialogue. I think that's still key. When you can incorporate that, I think it's a great mix.
Oh, absolutely, and it's amazing how people can connect in the online classroom and online environment, and those professors can express their passion as they look at this.